Good evening, traders. This is Jeff from ZenTrader.ca, and this is a quick look at the markets. Having gone over a lot of my charts tonight, I've come to the decision that it's not really a question of earnings, I think, which is going to be the next thing, that catalyst thing, whatever you want to call it, that moves the markets. I think it's going to be a question of it's the Dow versus the Nasdaq. Because what I'm noticing is weakness in the Nasdaq and strength in the Dow that's been happening over the last month and a half. And really, I've got two charts. It's going to simplify everything and kind of make it crystal clear. Here you've got the Nasdaq finding resistance at the 50-day moving average. And then you've got the Dow finding support at the 50-day moving average. So this is really a tale of two indices. And really the question is the Dow going to drag the Nasdaq up, or is the Nasdaq going to drag the Dow down? And through that, the earnings, I think, will tell the tale, but really it's going to be, and maybe this is just a simple matter of rotation. Maybe we're just going to go sideways. It's not always a question of are we going to go up or are we going to go down. Maybe we're just going to go sideways and have some rotation within, because I am seeing some strength in my sectors, but then you've got Google, which was a massive drag on the Nasdaq today. And I think Apple reports next week, so that's going to be huge. Would not be surprised to see Apple sell off, although I haven't looked at Apple's chart. Let me just pull it up here. While, yeah, see, this is kind of like the Nasdaq. It's finding resistance at the 50-day. So this might have to retest down here at 575. I think some of my other proprietary charts has Apple going much lower, but Apple, it's so widely followed. I really don't even like to analyze charts like Apple or Google or at one point Netflix and some of these other charts, just because they're so widely followed. It makes it so much more difficult. But I've got some other charts, so let's go through it real quickly here. So you can see here we've got an established uptrend over the midterm. Here you've got a downtrend that's forming. I thought we were going to head higher here, but you can see we've come down and we're right back here near this midterm support level. So we'll see if the Nasdaq can maybe bounce. Maybe it won't have Google be such a drag tomorrow. So it actually held up. I don't think it held. I think it held up pretty good, all things considered. The Dow, it's in a short-term downtrend here. It kind of found resistance, but I mean we're like literally 100 points off of 2012 highs, so you can't really be too bearish on this chart. This is a daily chart. I pointed this out the other day that we might run into some problems, and bam, first time we got up there, that's exactly what we did. Short term, this is actually bullish for the Nasdaq. This is one thing that gives me a little bit of hope that we could go higher. The three-line break chart has turned around and gone up. The TRIX is positive. So in the short term, even though the Nasdaq, there are some issues with the chart on the daily chart, this is hypersensitive to short-term moves. So this gives me some, not really hope, but just makes me think that maybe we head higher than the Nasdaq, and maybe it won't drag the Dow down. The Nasdaq, really what I really want to show you here is the Keltner channels with three major indexes, and you can really clearly see the Nasdaq found resistance at the middle Keltner band, whereas the S&P and the Dow are trending above the middle Keltner channel and the upper Keltner band. So 2 out of 3, you want to see that versus you want to see 2 out of these 3 being positive when you look at this indicator versus 2 out of 3 being negative. So, and then let me see here. The last chart I wanted to share with you is the Nasdaq advanced decline volume line, and this is somewhat, you don't want to be on this end of these moving averages, the 13 and the 34. You want to be above it to kind of ensure that the market internals are strong and kind of confirming strength. And right now this is really kind of confirming weakness. So lots of things to consider, but really, in my opinion, as I said, it boils down to the Dow versus the Nasdaq right now and sector rotation. Okay, have a good evening. I'm not going to get cut off tonight.